On the west coast of the Kenai Peninsula, there's a stretch of beach about 100 kilometers long, which is pretty much one single, unbroken, flat, sandy beach. This is obviously a really popular place for clam digging. It's generally, in terms of invertebrate zoology or whatever, it's got a very low diversity. There's not a whole lot there except for razor clams and a few of the things that eat them. One of the amazing things I found when we started digging clams is that according to Alaska Department of Fish and Game, there are 1 million razor clams dug from the Kenai Peninsula, this stretch of beach, every single year. Which is pretty incredible. People come, you see, when we go down to the beach, I wish I would have gotten some photos of it, there are campers and things parked for the low tide series. People will actually come from all over the state and camp out for the entire tide series to dig clams. So the clam species we're talking about is called the Pacific razor clam, Siliqua patula. There's another species, this one here, which is the Arctic razor clam. These also occur here, although they're fairly uncommon in this area. They're a lot more common up north. This particular specimen is from Kuluk Beach when I did my trip out to Adak Island for a research project last summer. That's the dominant species up in that part of the world. They're a little bit fatter, a little bit less elongate shell. There's a few other differences on the inside. This group of clams, these are in a family called the Faraday, but they're in a superfamily called the Solenoidea. That includes the jackknife clam, Solon sicarius, which we don't have here in Alaska. I'm not sure how far north it ranges. But we used to get these fairly commonly down in Washington. And what makes this family pretty unique in the clam world is that they actually dig. Now, most clams can dig, but they dig pretty slow. It's really a common thing for me to hear people talking about digging clams like butter clams or pink necks or any number of horse clams, and make the claim that they had to dig really deep because the clam was digging fast. And in reality, the clam is generally not moving. The clam is pretty much stuck where it's at. They can dig, like I said, very slowly. But what it is, they extend their long siphons. This is a geoduck here. You look at the siphon, what they breathe through, can be long, and a geoduck can be a meter deep. So they're at the surface when you first start digging. They're pulling that siphon down, and people assume that the clam is actually physically moving through the sand when the clam, in fact, geoducks really can't dig at all. But this group of this Solenoidea, this group are fast diggers. I mean, these guys can dig. It depends. It varies a lot, but a good average rate of speed is about 9 inches per minute, which doesn't sound that fast. But when you're digging in pretty hard-packed sand, it's hard to catch them. So what we do is we use a clam gun, which is a type of I'll show you the video. Here's a video clip of me using the clam gun. So you notice what you do is you push this into the sand all the way down, and then there's a hole on it. There's a hole in the handle to let air out. You put your thumb over that hole, and then you pull up as hard as you can, and that takes a plug of sand out. Now you put this over top of where you've seen a razor clam, what's called a razor clam dimple, and you push it down as far as you can. Sometimes you have to do it several times. And in the whole time you're doing this, of course, the clam is pushing its way down into the sand as well. So it's trying to get away from you. Now, hopefully, if you've done this right, you pull up, and after 1, 2, or 3 different times of pulling sand out, you'll actually have the clam in the plug of sand. Now, more often than not, at least not so much anymore, but when we first started doing this, I lost the clam a lot. Even with digging as deep as this thing would go, the clam outdug me. And this is where my little boy, now I learned, my child, Darwin is his name, a lot of you probably know that. Darwin is a clam digging machine. I have no idea. I had no idea where this. I think he was given a superpower, and it's clam digging. This kid, first of all, he never gives up on a clam. I mean, I would quit and leave the hole and go, well, this one got away, and he'd be like, no, it didn't. And he's down on his knees with his hands down in the hole, rummaging around with his fingers, and he would almost every single time pull a clam out, a hole that I'd given up on. So we gave him the nickname the Clam Noodler, which, if you guys know about noodling, it's kind of a funny nickname. My wife started calling him that. And we have to literally drag this kid off the beach. He will not quit clam digging until the tide is too high to get any clams. I mean, he will not leave. So here's a catch that we did one of the day. We went out with last time I went out with my father-in-law. That's him on the left there, and we got that day we got 94 clams that day, which is pretty amazing, but not even close to our limit. We could have easily gotten our limit. The reason we didn't is we simply didn't need that many clams. The limit is 60 per person. So with the three of us there with our fishing licenses, my boy doesn't need a fishing license, but that would have been 180 clams. So we got about half of our limit that day, and then that's just maybe an hour and a half's worth of digging. So it's pretty incredible. And again, my little boy, he digs with a shovel. I can't dig him with a shovel. I can't dig fast enough. He's just got it. It's amazing. He's quite the wonder. So after digging these clams, of course, the fun part is getting home and eating them. Here they've cleaned. This is the pain in the ass part, of course, is cleaning them. They're a mess. They're really hard to clean because you just got to get all the sand and all the garbage out of them and everything like that. But once they're cleaned, you get meat. It doesn't look so appetizing right here. We usually use a flour and cornmeal. All right, I think that's it. So take care. Thanks.